It's Tuesday, May 24th at 12:35 p.m. The dogs and I have just come to Fishing Lake Road, a place I've never been before. It's about 20 minutes north of Kingston or so, in a fairly rural area, little traveled road, and it's very well known for having some good species of birds along it. There's a Nature Conservancy property here. I've come today to look for prairie warblers. They've been seen here recently and over the last few years, so I'm hoping as I walk down the road here, I'll hear some. They have a very distinctive song. It's not the greatest time of the day probably to be here, but I'll try it out. So we've come to Fishing Lake Road, not to go fishing, I'm afraid. And I don't want to disappoint all you fisher people out there. I hope the title didn't disappoint people thinking I was coming on a fishing trip to catch bass or trout or something. It's a fishing trip for birds on Fishing Lake Road around Fishing Lake, where I'm looking for blue-winged warblers and prairie warblers in particular. This is really just a single lane road cutting through nice mixed forest, young third growth forest along the southern Canadian Shield. Also gone by a few little swamps so far. Very pretty. Looking down into Fishing Lake. So I think it's not too far up here where people have been reporting hearing and seeing the prairie warblers just in the last few days. Perhaps where the road rises up there, the habitat is opening up into more of a common juniper shrub complex. Sumac and dogwoods and prickly ash. Lots of lilacs along this trail too, so the air is heavy with the perfume of lilac. Very nice. So here we are at the Nature Conservancy parcel. By the looks of it, there's a gate here and mentions of trail, so maybe we'll check out this trail, see if we can walk it. The trail here is not often used. You can hardly even see the trail per se, it's all overgrown. But it's not really meant to be a high traffic type trail, it's just for the odd interested user to come in and look around a bit. Well, there's lots of bird activity in here. I just got a blue-winged warbler. You can see it's semi-open shrub habitat under these power lines. A lot of prickly ash, lilac, meadowsweet, various willows, alder. Quite a complex of shrubs and open grass areas, so really suitable for things like blue-winged warblers, potentially prairie warblers up there perhaps on the rockier sections. This is what you call multitasking. Taking the dogs for a walk, bird watching and entering sightings into eBird, and doing video for YouTube all at the same time. It's actually quite a specialty to be able to do this. Long years of training, hard work, diligence, sacrifices for your normal life. But it's a good life. Somebody has to do it, I guess. So we've come back out to the road because it's quite difficult walking in there in the Nature Conservancy land. Difficult to even see where the trail is in most cases, but I thought I'd go down the road and maybe this will come against some good prairie warbler habitat again, and maybe that's where people have been seeing or hearing them, because they did mention that it was right beside the road, I think. But as you can see up ahead, it's fairly forested. But maybe it'll come out again to a more open habitat. Here's a nice little marsh. The road is still cutting through some heavily shaded forest habitat. We're not far from the edge of the hydro cut, but this obviously here wouldn't be suitable for prairie warblers. But I noticed on the satellite imagery that the road cuts back through the hydro cut up here, so we'll go at least that far and maybe we'll have some luck with prairie warblers up there. Otherwise, I believe maybe people were seeing them or hearing them just back at the Nature Conservancy area there where we were just now. Here's another entrance for the Nature Conservancy land, the Frontenac Arch Natural Area. So maybe I'll see if there's a trail here that's a little more obvious. This one's a little more obvious except for the fallen sumacs and whatnot. Over this side though, this side. No, over this side. Over this side. Come on, this way. I can't go through there. God, why do I do this? Why do I do this? The bumblebees are all over this honeysuckle here. This little entrance looks more promising. It comes out onto the granite ridge under the power lines, so we'll go up there and take a listen. What a pretty view. Despite the hydro towers, still a pretty area. Indigo bunting sitting on one of the rails of the tower at about 30 feet high, singing away. Very pretty undulating topography within this little valley that's been opened by the hydro cut. So no prairie warblers in that hydro cut opening. So we're going further east down the road to see where it cuts through the hydro cut. And maybe that'll be a good place to look for prairie warblers or listen for them. Okay, this is where the road cuts over across the hydro cut. Although it dips down into a lowland area, but anyhow, we'll walk through there. And that's as far as we're going to go today, I think. We've been out for an hour and a half and walked 4 kilometers, so... Oh, here's a nice little parking area I didn't even know existed. So I parked at the end of the road, the west end of the road, just on a little opening on the side of the road. But now I know there's a nice little circular... Oh, I just heard a blue-winged warbler calling out here. assuming it's a true bluewing. Right there. It's like a buzz with a trill. There, I don't know if you heard that. There's also a black-billed cuckoo calling. Eep. That's what it sounds like. Eep. The blue-winged warbler. It's over in this direction somewhere. Could be the same bird I saw, but we've walked quite a ways from there, so it's probably another one. I was talking to two gentlemen this morning on Canoe Lake Road who said over towards Port Hope, the blue-winged warblers are everywhere. So it's an interesting species that has hitherto, or at least when I grew up in the Oshawa area, it was very rare. A rare southern bird, but now it's expanding its range northward, perhaps because of climate change, maybe other reasons. Okay, 4.23 kilometers, and it looks like we're past the end of the Nature Conservancy property. I think we'll head back because we're looking at a 8+ kilometer total hike. There's another blue-wing singing right up in here. Fairly faint, but might be able to be heard. There he goes. Well, it's 2:12. We're just heading back along the road west towards where the car was parked. We've still got most of the walk to do. I'm just adding a bit of commentary here. So we got two blue-winged warblers and no prairie warbler yet, but hopefully on the way back we might hear one. This isn't the best time of day to hear them singing. Probably early mid-morning would be far better, although you can hear them at this time. I just realized there might be a discrepancy in the location of the two reported sightings of late for the prairie warbler. One of the locations shows them up past the end of Fishing Lake, further than I walked even. The other one shows it about halfway up Fishing Lake, which is where I came in and looked around quite a bit. And apparently that location was based on the sightings of the first location. So I have a feeling maybe the location down here along Fishing Lake is just an incorrect plot of the location. Because when I look at the other one, it's actually in an area of the road that cuts alongside the hydro track, and they talk about it being on the west side of the road, which makes more sense perhaps based on the angle of the road and whatnot. So I think when I get back, I'm going to drive up here, see if I can find that location. Might give me a better chance of finding the prairie warblers, unless I hear some on the way back. But for the first hour I walked along here, there were virtually no mosquitoes. Now it was fairly sunny then, and it now has become mostly cloudy. And in the last half hour, the mosquitoes have really started to pop out. So you wouldn't want to be walking through here in the evening or at night, that's for sure. With all these marshes on the side, I'm sure the woods are just filled with millions of mosquitoes. And certainly our farm is no exception right now. At night or in the woods, even in the daytime, you just get eaten alive if you're not covered up a bit or wearing some kind of repellent. I tend to just cover up as much as I can. and deal with it. I don't like repellent, so now I know there's times when you need repellent if you're actually having to work out in it. You can't take the constant biting on your face and hands and stuff, so then you need repellent. But okay, I think I'm in a better area now than I was before. According to the one map, this looks like a much better location. It's more open and more outcroppy. Nice bunches of shrubs on the various outcrops, and yet still some bald areas too. I've honed in as best I can without an actual UTM coordinate. I'm just comparing my location on maps, Google Maps, to the map they had in eBird. And I think I'm close. I should probably be within half a kilometer each way. I heard another blue-winged warbler just up the road here, coming back. I'll drive a little further to the west to see if I hear anything. A little further along the road, I happened upon another bird that was singing like a blue-winged warbler. When I finally got a chance to see it, I could see it was one of the hybrids. So the blue-winged warblers and golden-winged warblers hybridize and produce hybrids. This one's called a Brewster's warbler. It has characteristics of both blue-wing and golden-wing, as you can imagine. There's also a Lawrence's warbler that looks quite a bit different again. But it was nice to see this hybrid of the two. Further searching along the road for the prairie warbler proved futile, but on the way out we managed to see this strutting ruffed grouse in full display, trying to attract a female, I guess, or simply defending his territory. Just stood on the road and didn't really care about us at all.